Chapter 10 of Maniac Magee. Of course, Maniac didn't know any of that. He was simply glad the chase was over. He turned and started walking and catching his breath. East Chestnut, East Marshall, Green Street, Art Street. He'd been around here before. That first day with the girl named Amanda, other days jogging through. But this was Saturday, not a school day. And there was something different about the streets. There were kids, and they were all over. One of them jumped down from a front step and planted himself right in front of Maniac. Maniac had to jerk just to a stop to keep from plowing into the kid. Even so, their noses were practically touching. Maniac blinked and stepped back. The kid stepped forward. Each time Maniac stepped back, the kid stepped forward. They traveled practically half a block that way. Finally, Maniac turned and started walking. The kid jumped around and plunked himself right in front again. He bit off a chunk of a candy bar he was holding. "Where you going?" he said, as candy bar flakes flew from his mouth. I'm looking for Sycamore Street," said Maniac. "Do you know where it is?" "Yeah, I know where it is." Maniac waited, but the kid said nothing more. "Well, do you think you could tell me where it is?" Stone was softer than this kid's glare. "No!" Maniac looked around. Other kids had stopped, and they were stopped playing, and they were staring. And someone called, "Do 'em, Mars!" And someone else yelled, "Waste 'em!" The kid, as you probably guessed by now, was none other than Mars Bar Thompson. Mars Bar heard the calls, and the stone got harder. Then suddenly he stopped glaring. Suddenly he was smiling. He held up a candy bar an inch from Maniac's lips. "You want a bite?" Maniac couldn't figure. "Are you sure?" "Yeah. Go ahead. Take a bite." Maniac shrugged, and he took the Mars bar and bit off a chunk and handed it back. "Thanks." There was dead silence along the street. The kid had done the unthinkable. He had chomped on one of Mars' own bars. Not only that, but white kids just didn't put their mouths where black kids had theirs, whether it was soda bottles, spoons, or candy bars. And the kid hadn't even gone for the unused end. He had chomped right over Mars Bar's own bite marks. Mars Bar was now confused. Who was this kid? What was this kid? As usual, when Mars Bar got confused, he got mad, and he thumped Maniac in the chest. "You think you're bad or something?" Maniac, who was now twice as confused as Mars Bar, blinked. "Huh? You think you come down here and be bad? Is that what you think?" Mars Bar was now practically shouting. "No," said Maniac. "I don't think I'm bad. I'm not saying I'm an angel either. I'm not even real good. I guess I'm somewhere in between." Mars Bar jammed his arms downward and stuck out his chin and sneered. "Am I bad?" Maniac was befuddled. I don't know. One minute you're yelling at me, and the next minute you're giving me a bite of your candy bar." The chin jutted out more. "Tell me I'm bad." Maniac didn't answer. There were flies, and they stopped buzzing. "I said, tell me I'm bad." Maniac blinked, and he shrugged, and he sighed. It's none of my business if you're bad. Let your mother or father tell you." Now it was Mars Bar doing the blinking and stepping back and trying to sort things out. After a while, he looked down. "What's that?" Before Maniac answered, a book. Mars Bar had snatched it from his hand. "That ain't yours," he said, and he flipped through some pages. "Looks like mine." "No, it's somebody else's." "It's mine, and I'm keeping it." With rattlesnake speed, Maniac snatched the book back, except for one page, which stayed ripped in Mars Bar's hand. "Give me that page," said Maniac, and Mars Bar grinned at him. "Take it, fish belly." Silence and eyes. The flies were waiting. East End vultures. Suddenly, neither kid could see the other because a broom came down like a straw curtain right between their faces, and a voice said, "I'll take it." It was the lady from the nearest house, out to sweep her steps, and she lowered the broom, but kept it between them. "Better yet," she said to Mars Bar, "just give it back to him." Mars Bar glared up at her. There wasn't an 11-year-old in the East End who could stand up to Mars's glare. In the West End, even high schoolers were known to crumble under his glare. To old ladies on both sides of Hector Street, it was all but fatal. And when Mars Bar stepped off the curb, and he would combine the glare with his super slow dip stride slump shuffle, well, it was said he could back up traffic all the way to Bridgeport, while he took 10 minutes to cross the street. But not this time. This time, Mars Bar was up against an East End lady in her prime, and she was matching him eyeball for eyeball. And when it was over, only one glare was left standing, and it wasn't Mars Bar's. Mars Bar handed back the torn page, but not before he crumpled it into a ball. The broom pushed him away and turned him around and swept him up the street. The lady looked down at Maniac. A little of the glare lingered in her eyes. You better get on, boy, where you belong. I can't be following you around. I got things to do. Maniac stood there for a minute, and there was something he felt like doing, and maybe he would have, but the lady turned and went back inside her house and shut the door. So he just walked away.